All right, what up, though? So let's talk about showing up, showing up for yourself, showing up for yourself in life, no matter if it's great moments, bad moments, and different moments. We must show up for ourselves. And this statement of showing up for yourself, it looks like it has a myriad of ways in which you can do this. And I'm going to try to discuss as many of them as I can to help you understand what I mean when I say show up for yourself. And let's try and take and compartmentalize real quick in what realm, in what way. So let's talk about the easy one first. Actually, no, let's talk about the hard one first. Showing up for yourself when you are frustrated, you are tired, you are exhausted from trying to figure it out. You are exhausted from trying to give the effort, but it doesn't seem to be forthcoming with the results that you with the same equal amount of effort you put in, the results are not nowhere near showing the same type of fruit, right, of the labor. And you are tired, you're exhausted. And I'm here to tell you, you have a right to be tired, exhausted. You have a right to be frustrated with the process, but you still need to show up. And in this moment, showing up is saying this to yourself, giving yourself the grace, giving yourself the clarity to know that you are feeling this way. So often, when we're feeling tired, exhausted, because we're not seeing the fruits of the labor, because things are not matching the effort being put in, whether it's your relationship, you're putting in a lot of effort in a relationship, it is not being, reciprocated. If you are working as an employee for your employer, you've been doing a lot of extra work, extra responsibilities, and the proverbial conversations of better pay or raise are coming, but hasn't come yet, right? And you're getting tired. And plus now you've been in certain meetings and, certain conversations, certain things are getting back to you that are not favorable in the response of showing the appreciation for the work you put in, right? Maybe it's a situation where you're an entrepreneur, i.e., me, and the work you've been putting in over the months, over the years, and trying to grow the brand and try to build the brand to even show it for the current client at hand, and try to be fully articulate and clear and email chain threads and doing the responsible things, getting the teams in place to take care of certain departments and building out. But it still comes to no avail, and things are still in disarray, right? But you're like, I've been doing X, Y, Z, and it's in the business, and it's still not showing up, showing the fruits of the proper rewards of contract closing or even employees' enthusiasm for happiness of what you try to do for them, right? Only thing you're getting is the bills and the investors and people saying, "What's going on with this? What's going on with that?" Right? And you're tired, you're exhausted. But you have to understand, though, you have to say you are, and then you have to be still for a moment. This is what they say, still waters run deep. This is what they say, being still and not just being active will help you try to gain the clarity and gain the thoughts and gain the resilience and get the energy back you're looking for in order to try to say, hey, I want to now give more energy back to myself. But you have to be still in order to do so. You have to allow yourself that chance to say, hey, this is where I'm at. Because when you don't do that, what happens is you try to suppress it, you try to overlook it, you try to avoid it and do things that will not allow it to be watered the right way and therefore be addressed in the proper way necessary in order for these issues to start to clear themselves up, right? So this is why I say show up for yourself and talking to yourself and bring out the truth of where you are. I had to do it. I'm having to do it. Those who have been my mentors have told me to do it, have let me know points when they didn't do it, what happened. This is where we start getting into, stresses, and we start getting into, depression, and we start getting into leakage in responses and other avenues of our life that we don't want to leak into, right? We start now being short-winded with the family, with our partner, with the kids, if you have kids, not being responsive to parents, if they're elderly, not being attentive or being ready to respond properly to a staff or employees, or if you are the employee, you're sharp and quick-witted and emotional now when you're being talked to by your C-suite executives. So you have that leakage in other ways where you're not able to be fully present the best way because we're always fully present, but you're not at your best in the presence when you're in these other environments because you haven't dealt with your understanding of showing up for yourself to be clear with you feel a certain way right now and you're tired and you're exhausted and you have a right to be that, especially if you're doing majority. You'll never be 100%, but if you're doing, say, that proverbial 80% of the 100 or 70% of the 100 that you're trying to deliver, and you've been doing that, then you have a right to say, hey, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. Even by saying that, I found is giving myself, like I said, that moment to be still and be fully aware of my full understanding of where I am emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, which gives me a chance, even in that moment, to regain my balance. Not saying that everything about the situation that is causing, or that is the fuel to the flame. Not saying that that's addressed, but I'm saying now that I'm able to catch my breath and get awareness and grab that rung on the ladder where it's like, oh, okay, I'm not just free falling. I can grab a hold of something here, and this is me grabbing a hold of my sanity, if you will, by just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna show up for myself and be present in my emotions and be fully aware of how I feel and not just my emotions. I know we like to say as men and as business people, it's not emotional, and people who may be on the spectrum who say, it ain't got nothing to do with emotions and feel bullshit. We all got it. We all got it. Because if we didn't have it, then you wouldn't feel anything towards the thing, right? You wouldn't feel the way you feel of fatigue or tired or, or loss or disdain or bewilderment. You wouldn't feel these things, which are all stemming from a level of emotional energy, right? So what I'm saying is you do need that clarity so you can balance yourself and not be so lenient on the emotional aspect that is not going to allow you to have the fullness of clarity to really address the issue at hand. So showing up for yourself is first communicating that you're tired, that you are exhausted, and then you can sit down and deal with the issue and deal with the problem better and have better strategy of approach to it. Let's talk about the issues that are kind of nebulous or don't have a real. It's like a blah. It's not really bad and ain't really good. It's just there, right? It's just a situation. You still got to show up for yourself. You still have to make sure you are aware of this energy. You have to make sure you're aware of this thought because just because nothing stays the same and nothing is neutral, there's always an element of it's moving forward or it's moving back or it's moving in a north star or not. So what you have to think about is showing up for yourself and addressing that thought. When you address that thought and give yourself the ability to have clarity on, okay, it may not be a need to put a lot of energy into it, but to address it allows again for it to have the movement and the inertia necessary for it to go in the better direction than it would if you didn't address it, right? So showing up for oneself and the blah things are just as important. And of course, the easy one is show up for yourself when things are going good. But I'm gonna take it a different step further because you're like, that's obvious, Mark. Of course, if I'm on vacation, I'm at the beach, I'm at the ocean, of course, if I'm skiing, if I like going on ski slopes, whatever it might be, or if I'm, I just, close a, $200 million deal and, my 3% out of it, I just deposit that, 200,000 into my account, and just wiped out all my debt. Of course, I'm gonna be fully happy, right? But also too, I say show up for yourself even in that moment and really appreciate and give the gratitude. Principle number two, the gratitude to your ability to have the fortitude, the stick to itiveness to achieve at this particular moment or at that moment, the 2 or 3% of the $200 million deal close. Really, really encapsulate that moment and be fully there because what happens a lot of times you're so enthralled and so happy sometimes, but also too in shock that you don't really, give yourself the roses necessary at that moment because again, that fear of loss because you never had before, right? So show up for yourself, be fully present. Also show up for yourself and still give yourself the understanding again. Stoicism is important. I talk about in other episodes. I've talked about this before. Don't overdo it. because you're not you know, like I said before in another episode, you know, analogy that was given to me recently talking to one of my mentors, you know, you get to the top of the mountain, that is not the goal because you still have to come back down and you still want to tell the story to others. So don't get so proud and boastful and cocky with oneself, you know, hitting that $200 million, whatever your success thing is, being at the beach, you know, don't get uberly relaxed, right? Because you got to go back to work. You want to be able to go back and give more energy to yourself. You want to be able to share, you know, where you went on vacation or, you know, with others so they can know how they can do the same, right? You want to just be able to get, you want to be able to, you know, if you didn't get a chance to take the family members, you want to be able to share with them properly, not in a belittling way where it's again, you know, beating one's chest because I was able to do this, you weren't, but more so, you know, hey, you know, you can do the same. Maybe not this year, maybe, you know, in 2 years, plan for the bucket list, you know, whatever. But walk them through. But this is how you stay grounded and not get too high, right? Again, getting to the peak of the mountaintop, you still got to get back down. And again, the whole objective is to be able to tell the story of what you achieved and go get up to the peak, and help someone else on their journey, even if they don't want to climb that same mountain. They have mountains that they need to climb, and you want to give them the proper watering and education and support, if you will, on their journey and energy to feel like they can accomplish their climb and their feat or whatever it is they need to do. So showing up for yourself looks different in different ways, but a lot of times I think, especially as men, and I don't know how many women I have on my platform. I haven't looked into metrics on that, but as men, I can only speak from a man's point of view. You know, we grind so often and work so hard just to be able to not even exhale, but just to have a moment to be able to, you know, inhale fresh air, right? And you know, exhale a little bit, right? But we don't show up enough in those moments. We don't show up enough even in the moments when we need support for ourselves to be honest about where we are because we've been told for so long. And even the world presently still, you know, lets you know, like as a man, you don't have, there's no place for you to have that level of weakness. And there's no such thing as weakness unless you don't continue pushing through the thing that is quote unquote making you weak. That's when weakness shows up. And that's what weakness is like. There's no such thing as failure. You get an opportunity if you, as long as you're breathing, to go back and try again. That's why, like Kobe always said it, right? Jordan talked about it and showed it, right? Uh, Tom Brady showed it. Obama talked about it. Everybody named Mama, Oprah has talked about it. There's no such thing as failure. There's no such thing as weakness. The only thing that's weak about one is not being able to lean into the known and figure out, okay, by me leaning into it, this is me saying, hey, I don't know. And if that makes the outside person think that you're weak for saying I don't know, then that's their deal. You understanding by me saying I don't know is only going to allow you to gain the strength necessary to find out the information you need in order to gain the strength that you're looking for. So this is what the important thing is for us to understand. Showing up for yourself is vital in this world. Showing up for yourself is vital for you in all facets of life because you cannot just continue to just try to drive yourself into the ground and make things happen without being fully aware of what's going on with you. And the only way to do that is you have to show up for you. When you show up for you, then you're able to show up for the other things that you are looking to show up for and wanting to be there for, be present for, and be alert for, and be fully able and capable. Even when you don't know what you're doing, you're capable because you're saying, hey, I'm showing up for the thing. So therefore, I can figure out what I don't know. I can figure out where the problem is. I'm here to do so because I'm showing up, because I'm used to doing that in my personal life for myself. So to do this in these moments when things are seemingly difficult, things are seemingly a struggle, it becomes second nature. And this is why people who evolve well, people who have wisdom and people who grow through this life, and we call them older seniors who do it in such a beautiful way, they have shown a certain level of consistency and deliverability because they've already understood how to show up for themselves. And so it shows itself by, it looks like, oh, okay, I have an understanding now at 40, at 50, at 60, because I had to show up for myself when I was in my 20s, in my 30s, in my early 40s. So now I've done it so much, I can show up now in these other areas for everybody else. And to them, it looks like it's like nothing, but it's because I've done it for myself so often. And I've been, and they've been given the opportunity to do it over the years and continual years. That's why they have this sense. Again, these are the quality evolution, seniors and older folks, right? That's why they have that quality delivery of seeming calm and just that stoic wisdom, right? But it's because they constantly show up for themselves and they've had to do it so often. They've been given the chance and they've done it. They were given the chance, but then they took it and they showed up for themselves. And so it becomes another one of those. And so for me, I'm trying to do that same thing in my life at 44. I talked another episode about uh, the perception of everything being okay. The reason why I'm okay with people thinking that everything is okay is because I constantly show up for myself when they don't see it. The reason why my body looks the way it does, and I can sit and walk around with my shirt off or whatever it may be. I can go to sleep at night. Back doesn't ache. Knees are not inflamed. My body fat is in good percentage. I don't get foggy head minded. I don't get foggy, a fog brain when I'm trying to stay up and do long work and having long meetings and conversations and then trying to apply new business techniques is because I show up for myself in the moments when you don't see me and you're not having the conversation. So when you do see me, you're seeing this work that has been done uh, behind closed doors, because that's why they say what's done in the dark will show in the light, right? It's because I show up for myself and I want to be there to show up for you. That's why I'm starting this platform. That's why I have my inner tech, and I'm hopefully being the example, not only from what I'm verbally sharing with you guys on this platform, but also what you can see from where I'm bringing it, how I'm bringing it to you. Not, and this is not to show off and act like everything is 100%. Because I told you in my other episode, everything is not. It's because everything is not that I continue to show up. My body is only the physical manifestation of what I am not trying to avoid, but making sure that I don't allow to continue to ferment and grow into things. And I'm not incubating in my spirit or my body the negative. I'm doing the things to allow my body to continue being on the proper path so I can continue being healthy and forward moving and being the better of myself as I continue to evolve and given the chance to evolve in his life for whatever length that is. I have no control over that. But in my third principle, where I talk about talking and sitting down, being still, and connecting with my higher power, I fully give that to them and let them deal with that. But I understand on the fourth principle, I take care of my physical and my nutrition, and I take care of my activity and my work activity. And my fifth principle of making sure my personal workflow is intact by daily doing the small mundane tasks that need to get done for my company, for my employees, and obviously for my new brand that I've started here with you all. So that's what I said, but showing up for myself, showing up for you. When I show up for myself, I can show up for you. I got to put my mask on first. I've said this in many other episodes. You have to put your mask on first if you want to be there for others. That is showing up for yourself. And putting your mask on means you got to do every aspect of it properly in order for it to stay on your face. And that's an everyday thing. That's not a one time thing. That's an everyday continual process that has to get done. All right. All right, y'all. Appreciate y'all, man. You know what it is. Live well, my friends. I'll get at you. Please leave comments and let's talk and let's discuss. But live well, live well. I'll get at y'all.